Time for the boys to get out and rumble now. They've seen the ladies run. It's that much later in the day, that much hotter.
Yeah, I'll get it for you guys. Don't worry.
Anytime a defending champion repeats, it's not all that much of a surprise. But, Ed, what do the total results of the women's race lead us toward in the men's?
Well, I think the fact that the West came through, won the team competition with just 7 days recovery, means that it's anybody's ball game. The Western guys are going to come through and be just as strong as the Northeast or the Midwest.
Now, George Torres is the only boy ever to qualify for 4 nationals. He also was second last year. He's got to be the favorite. Who's going to give him a stiff test?
Andy Powell, 409 mile speed from the Northeast. I think if it comes down to a kick, I've got to give the edge to Andy. And Josh Roatinsky, Jr. from Utah. He's trained in the mountains, and I think he's got the strength as well.
As we can see, that sun is out, and it's that much more oppressive the conditions are out there. But we have so many talented athletes in this field. We have girls and boys together, 44 state titles represented. Here's a look at our 4 regional champions, 3 of whom are undefeated. But, Ed, I was on the internet all week leading up, and it's the Illinois crowd versus the Massachusetts crowd, because it's George Torres and his brother Edward going up against Frankie Sanchez and Andy Powell from Massachusetts. Track guys against cross country. And off they go. Cross-country for high school kids with all that adrenaline flowing after watching the girls run. Ed, they're going out like killers.
Well, it's not unusual to see guys go through 60 seconds for the first 400 meters, and it looks like the Midwest team, very pumped, in the lead, going strong.
Well, our 2 top returners are the Torres twins, second last year and 6th. 33 boys. We'll see how it plays out when we return. Welcome back to the 20th annual Footlocker Cross Country Championships from Orlando, Florida. Tony Revis along with Ed Eystone, and in the lead in long hair in the blue outfit from the West, Ian Dobson from Klamath Union High School in Klamath, Oregon, the state 4A champion. And his running hero is Steve Prefontaine, and his running goal is to run like Pre did, giving absolutely everything every time and being able to say that no one works harder.
Well, Steve Prefontaine was definitely a front runner, a guy who liked to go out and set the pace, dictate the pace, make sure that the race was not too slow, and that appears to be exactly what Ian Dobson is doing right now.
That's George Torres in the red in second place. Andy Powell in the black, the great track runner from Massachusetts, is right in there. So whereas we didn't have the regional champions on the girls' side up front, we do on the boys.
Josh Roatinsky, the regional champ from the West, is right in there as well. So we see all our regional champs right in there, not letting Ian Dobson get away.
And Bradshaw Wilkins in the South's green singlet, just right in that front pack as well. He is the North Carolina state champion and the Southern regional champion. We expect more of a pack run, I would say, on the boys' side than the girls.
Well, to me, it looks like they've gone out a little bit more conservative. We have a huge group together as they approach the mile mark, and the pace that they're on right now is right around 4:50 pace, which is a pretty reasonable pace for this caliber of guys.
Well, the track runners, Sanchez running with Andy Powell in the black Northeast singlets, are track guys. They are not going to do anything until late in the day. It's up to the Torres brothers to try to make moves in the middle, you would think, to try to take their victory.
Well, this early portion is certainly just a sizing up sort of opportunity for these guys, as many of them have not raced against each other.
Only one Western blue jersey in that front row. We thought they may be in a disadvantage coming from a hilly regional last week, but didn't turn out that way for the girls.
It's not hilly at all, but I really like hills. I do good on them, but I think a flat course is okay. It's just going to make it so I run a little different. I'm not going to be as close in the lead the first mile because I know they're going to go out faster than I think I should. So I'm just going to kind of stay back and maybe second mile, third mile, just see if I can work my way up.
Well, that was the strategy that worked for the girls, but right now we do have a lot of our favorites right up there. And now on the left of the screen, just spitting a little bit, that's number 66, Louis Lucchini, who is out of Ellsworth, Maine, and was, like Aaron Sullivan, had a very bad experience at the regionals, but he's got a lot more talent than he showed there, and a lot of people on the internet site from Maine were picking him to be one of the top guys in this race, and there he is.
And he's forcing the pace right now. He's not letting Torres. He's not intimidated by the Torres brother here. He's out there duking it out.
Well, he was third in the 2-mile nationals last year, so he does have that talent. Here we look at the Midwest Regional, and George Torres taking that title. But why are there 33 boys and 32 girls? Look for the diving 8th place tie right here. That's Neil Hansen on the right, who took a dive, and in the blue t-shirt, that's Edward Torres. Now you make the call. Which one of these guys is the 8th place finisher in the Midwest Regional? Both.
It's a big advantage, you know, just knowing that your brother's out here and, you know, supporting you and running just the same race that you are. If he didn't qualify to this race, I would have, you know, that could have affected my race on Saturday. But, you know, thank God he qualified and he's here.
He's not only here, but he's just not far behind his brother, as he's having a very good final as well as George.
Hey, and lurking behind there, just off of Torres's shoulder, is Andy Powell, our track mile favorite, and he just wants to stay close enough to kick at the end, I think.
He's number 61, and that's Louis Lucchini, number 66, and then in fourth place is Frankie Sanchez, who is another track star from Lynn, Massachusetts. So 3 guys from the Northeast following our leader from the Midwest, and 2 more red jerseys following there. Now, if the girls' race told us anything, it's that the people up front are the studs, and the odds are that one of those top 3 guys is going to be the winner. And yet the West did come through, and they're in the same position now in the boys' race.
My high school coach used to say you got to have patience followed by destruction. And I think as long as you are patient, you can still work your way into this. But if you let too many of the studs get too far out on you, there'll be no reeling them in.
Well, it definitely serves to my advantage being a miler type on this type of course because it's flat and pretty much no hills, so it's definitely to my advantage. I mean, you know, if it comes into a kicking type race and it's close, then it's going to actually help me. So.
Well, Andy Powell broke one of Jim Ryan's long-standing records 2 years ago when he was a sophomore, and he ran an indoor mile in 4 minutes and 9 seconds. Anytime you start taking down one of Jim Ryan's records, that puts a lot of pressure on a young kid. Plus, whether it's George Torres applying pressure or the blanket of humidity he's not used to, whichever, Andy Powell looks a bit ragged here and has since the mile mark. But now moving into fourth place is one of our Western Division leaders, Adam 1040 out of Oregon.
I talked to Adam yesterday, and he said that he wanted to specifically go out slow the first mile, be very patient, and then work his way through, and that seems to be working to perfection for him right now.
Yes, but George Torres, who has finished 13th as a freshman, 5th as a sophomore, 2nd as a junior, is now into the front and extending that lead. He's made that separation. Will he extend it more? We'll see. The 1998 Footlocker Cross Country Championships are brought to you by Adidas. And by the Suzuki Rock and Roll Marathon. George Torres in a world all by himself. He's the first boy to qualify for 4 finals, freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior years. The runner-up is a junior. He is dominating this field of athletes that many people thought would give him a stern challenge. He ran that second mile in 5:05, and he really put distance in that third mile, and now the race is second place and beyond.
Louis Lucchini pounding for home now, really redeeming himself for that 6th place finish at the regional. Followed by Adam 1040. Adam again was 30th place, has come back to 3rd place, but the day belongs to George Torres, winning finally the Footlocker National Cross Country Championship.
Sometimes the hardest thing to be is the favorite going in, and then to deliver. Torres did it with style. Lucchini in 2nd, 1040 in 3rd. And in 4th, our second Midwest finisher, that's Jason Hartman out of Rockford, Michigan. And then it's Rotensky, the Western champion, in 5th place. And by the way, he's our first underclassman. And right behind him, Edward Torres in 6th in an inspirational performance. Dobson, early leader, and the troops come flying by. Well, there's Andy Powell, number 61, and Frankie Sanchez right behind him. Those guys have to be disappointed. But not so George Torres. Brad Wilkins, number 71, our Southern champion, just coming through. Very hot and very humid, tough distance running conditions. Did you hear that? George says, I won, and Edward says, about time.
Way to go. Good job, man.
The relief on George's part must be enormous. He was really under a lot of pressure.
You know, it's a huge monkey off your back when you finally are able to come through and deliver on that day.
George is also the first 4-time All-American in Footlocker history, 4 times in the top 15.
It went out just as planned. Last night I was talking to my coordinators, Peter Hanks, Ron, and John, and we were talking about like how the race was going to go, and they told me, you know what, you got the strength, you can go in the middle, and that's where you're going to waste all of them.
No weak moments when you made your move and they answered a little bit the first time?
No, I knew last year I was like same exact position. I was going to make a move this time at the 1.5 miles, but I made it a little earlier because I feel a little bigger and stronger. And then this year I did it at the 1.25 miles, and I pulled away, and I wasn't scared. I knew I already had experience, and I had to just do it this year.
Well, a tremendous high school career. The best of luck in the future.
Thanks a lot.
Team one.
Second place, of course, went to Louis Lucchini. Ellsworth, Maine, ran strong the whole way.
I had a horrible race at the regional race. I wanted to come in the top, 3 or 4 here. So I just wanted to make up for having such a bad race in New York.
Well, tell me about the conditions. I mean, we thought it was a little spongy of a course and an awfully humid day.
Yeah, it's a very soft course, and it's really hot coming from Maine down 30 degrees up to this, like 70 or 80. It's kind of hard to breathe in the race, but it worked out pretty well.
14 Olympic athletes arose out of Footlocker's first decade of national championships. Today, we saw the final race of the second decade and a preview of the next millennium of American Olympic runners. For now, for Ed Eyestone, I'm Tony Revis. So long from Orlando.